Getting hit multiple times coming out of that bike section. More drivers coming to blows. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back here to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome back to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. This is round number 1 for Season 2 of 2026, coming to you today from Lime Rock Park. My name is Ron Maunz, and alongside me, working the comms and the cams, is Joshua Wilkie. Well, Josh, for the first time in about 6 days here on the channel, we have Formula V's racing around Lime Rock Park. We just had this combination for the Weekend Warriors runoffs last Sunday, albeit the Formula Fords were on track for that race as well. So it hasn't been too long since we saw some Lime Rock action, but looking forward to what is probably going to be a very enticing and exciting race.
Yeah, thanks, Ron, for sure. We weren't here, man, it seems like it was only a week ago or so that we were here at Lime Rock Park, so I would imagine the drivers are going to be pretty prepped up for this one. They know what to expect around here, although it is raining, so it should be a little bit different this time. There was a bit of rain on our kind of special event there as well, so they did get a little bit of practice doing that, but I think it's going to be a good one around here. Not a bad way to start off the season. Everybody knows this track really well. We probably have a pretty hard-fought battle, I would think, today. So it should be a good one, and the rain's just going to throw a whole nother element into it. No pun intended.
Yeah, I would take credit for that pun if I were you, but that's just me. That's what Columbia School of Broadcasting told me. Any sort of unintentional puns, take full credit for them. If they are funny, if they aren't funny, you can leave them in the rearview mirror. But getting into the midst of qualifying right now, already getting these drivers saying some lap times on the board. But before we get too far into the action here, a brand new season, some brand new graphics here, and a new series of sponsors to make these broadcasts possible. And to start this season off, we want to thank Tam, the queen of the YouTube chat, and Weekend Warriors fanatic for making this series possible. A fun little fact about Tam is she is Jim Brewster's sister. She was with us here in the broadcast booth for a Spec Racer Ford race at Lime Rock all the way back in the summer of 2024. It was in June of 2024, right at the start of my second full-time season covering Weekend Warriors action. Tam's always in the YouTube chat, and she's making this broadcast possible a couple of days after her birthday, which Jim said was on this past Thursday. So happy belated birthday, Tam. Thank you for making this broadcast possible. She usually says in the YouTube chat, thank you to whoever the sponsor is, and I think she'll have to thank herself in the YouTube chat here today. But we've got a lot of storylines to touch on throughout this season, don't we, Josh? The return of Felix Samoes here in this series. Even though he's not the reigning champion, he still has the #1 on his car. That reigning champion honor, though, goes to Tortolo, who was able to put together a masterful campaign throughout Season 1 of 2026 to get back on top of his very rightfully earned throne.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked a little bit there that he was going to possibly be challenged by some people around him. And, I mean, let's be fair, he actually was last season there. We did have some challengers out there in the likes of Felix Samoes as well as Guido Marzucci getting some wins last season. Definitely racing a lot more spiky out there for sure and taking some positions and maybe not being so much as a pushover as he has maybe in some other series there, or some other seasons. Sorry, Antonio Reese here in 6th place as well. Always got tons of speed, always bringing a new livery. I think maybe we have another new livery on there. I'm hesitating to say that one's brand new, but he's always got something pretty cool looking on the car there. Masters driver, currently sitting in 6th, in 3rd in Masters. If we jump down here to our S2 drivers, we have Jason Grider, not on track right now. Looks like he's pretty happy with his 106.440 for the moment, but he'll be leading our S2 drivers. Dan Szczynski going to be just behind him, overall 16th and taking 2nd so far. You can see him locking up the brakes there, Ron. It's a little slippery out there.
Yeah, it is quite damp out there on the racetrack. The rain is still coming down. I'll let you know at the moment that iRacing is marking off the track conditions as lightly wet. No rubber laid down, so it is a good time to race in the rain and actually run on the racing line because it's not a complete slip and slide. You can't, I mean, in usual conditions, you can't run that. You'd have to run the karting lines, as some people usually call it, but you don't have to do that here tonight, so that will be a slight benefit to these drivers as we get off into the first 30-minute long race of the season coming up momentarily. We are getting towards the end of this qualifying session, about a minute and a half left to go on the clock to quickly run down your order at the moment. Felix Samoes is your current provisional pole sitter over Andy Middleton in P2. Kurt Nunez and Andrew Love top 2 in your Masters category, with Jason Grider, your reigning Spec 2 champion, currently holding on to the Spec 2 pole, slotted in P12 at the current moment. Looking forward to a very competitive season of racing action here in the Weekend Warriors, and interesting to see at the moment. Jim Brewster at his hometown track, we call it, slotted down in lucky spot P13, maybe waiting for the falling anvils to come down on other people in front of him.
Yeah, well, there's a pretty good chance of that around here today. You know, we had a multi-class race here not long ago we were speaking about there, and there was some attrition in that one in the rain for sure. This place, although there is passing opportunities around this track, you know, mainly T1, it's not really easy to get it done. T1 is a place where many disasters have happened, where many failed pass attempts have occurred. And the same thing, honestly, with the rest of the track around here. It's pretty narrow, except for T1 and maybe a couple other spots where you can kind of get it done. most of the time you're kind of trying to intimidate. You're the driver in front of you to try to get, maybe you can get a bit of a wedge and get around him somewhere, get him to make a mistake, but that can cause problems. You can get a little frustrated. You can be stuck behind somebody lap after lap after lap around here, and the laps come at you pretty quick. It can feel like you're not moving forward. That can cause some frustration, which can cause some action. It can cause some boilovers and stuff. So we shall see exactly how that works out today. We've got a pretty full field out there for even for the V's around here. That's a lot of cars.
Yeah, a whole lot of cars out there on the racetrack, and throwing rain into the midst as well. It's just going to complicate the equation even more, despite the fact that we've been through this many, many times before in the Formula V Weekend Warriors running here at Lime Rock. That rain may not seem like a big curveball, but it is a massive curveball that will be thrown these drivers' way. So let's say that it is going to be rain race, which it is right now. This is going to be a fun way to get this season up and rolling. So let's take a look at the first starting grid of this season, shall we? For round number 1 of the Weekend Warriors, it's Felix Samoa starting from the pole. Andy Middleton set to join him on the front row. Guido Marzucchi going to be starting right behind them in third, alongside your Masters pole sitter of Kurt Nunez. Andrew Love will be in fifth. Antonio Reese. Mick Ionio will be in sixth. Chris Montgomery is in seventh. Michelle Lynn is in eighth. Nate Colacio and Tortello complete your top 10. And then from there, we have Alan DeGassis and Jason Grider making up row number 6. Jim Brewster and Brian Szynski making up row 7. Row 8, meanwhile, is Joshua Justice. Alongside him is Dan Szynski, Nick Tullo and Martin Visser in 17th and 18th. Brian Hansen and Rafael Bolli in 19th and 20th. Yurik Monty and Stephen Westcott in 21st and 22nd, rounding out your 11th row with Stephen Hicks and Wayne Baltimore completing your 12th row. And I believe rounding out your starters, with one exception, that being Stevie Ray, who's at a power trip. I don't believe it's actually in the session to take the start. So 24 drivers set to grab the green flag in a couple of moments' time here for the opening race of the season. Josh, we're deploying on the shore and pace lap. Final thoughts before we get the season up and rolling.
Yeah, I think this is a great way to get it started. Super duper happy about another season of Formula V's. Got to thank everyone out there for the sponsors. We can't do it without viewers and drivers like you, and just very excited to get this one going, Ron, for another Formula V season. Couldn't be cooler.
Delighted to have all of you join us for another season of fantastic Weekend Warriors action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. And it's our privilege, as always, to bring the action to life. But let's bring the action here at Lime Rock as a green flag flies. The drivers are on their way, and we are racing here at Lime Rock Park. Fantastic start from Felix Samoa as dives out to the race lead. Side-by-side racing right behind the Guido Marzucchi, looking to jump in front of Andy Middleton as they go side-by-side through Big Bend. That's going to be Marzucchi jumping his way up into second as drivers all throughout the field looking to squabble. Chris Montgomery already losing on some spots. Tortello making up some. Michelle Lynn also jumping up a spot as well. Early stages, early doors as they had their way out of turn number 4 onto the Paul Newman straightaway for the very first time. It is Felix Samoa's over Guido Marzucchi, over Andy Middleton, rounding out your top 3 as they had their way off into the uphill turn for the very first time.
Yeah, everything looking pretty clean so far, but it is about to get into the twisty, kind of more complicated bits here. Not that this layout is the most complicated of layouts, but it does have some difficult spots here. This being one of them, one of the more difficult corners on the track to kind of get her turned around, get her slowed up properly for it. But looks like we're pretty clean here. Just jumped on board quickly there with Colacio for a moment. See what it looks like out the front of these machines in the rain, and I can tell you it's not easy to see even in these guys here out the front. And you definitely, the first lap or two, just trying to figure out where exactly and how much pressure you should be putting on that brake, and it's not easy to do, especially when you're in a line of cars here. You happen to have one in front of you, one behind you, kind of deal. It can get pretty difficult. Back to Colacio and Montgomery here fighting. I believe that's about 9th place, so fighting for around 10th place here. 9th place. Fights all over the field, Ron.
Yeah, so it's been a smooth start for the most part. These racers keeping it smooth and clean. However, now we're getting into the real choke points. After the first few laps are done and dusted, these competitors now trying to settle into a groove and get comfortable out there on the racetrack. But can you do that around here? Can you really do that? It's like getting comfortable in a bed of nails. You know, there is no real comfort found in a situation like that. There is only the drivers who can cope with a severe lack of comfort the best. 3 wide it looked like as they headed their way off through the final turn. Any more instances like that, my vocal cords are going to be shot by the time we're done with this broadcast as we ride on board with Alan DeGassis in the 927. 3 wide as they come across the stripe with Jim Brewster stuck on the inside line. Brian Szynski on the outside, and Alan DeGassis, the cream in that Oreos, they head their way off into turn number 1 and 2. DeGassis is going to slip in the middle of those 2 racers. Szynski gets ahead. He holds on to 11. Brewster still holding on to P13, exactly where he started.
Yeah, good to hold that one together there for sure. Everybody holding their lines really well, making sure that they have that space around them that they need not to interlock wheels this early in the race. You definitely, you want to get racy, you want to make up some positions, but the last thing you want to do is tangle with somebody and end up going backwards right away. Josh Justice hunting around behind Jim Brewster here, looking for a way by. We know that he's going to be looking for a way by here. I think this pack is a pack we're going to have to keep an eye on, Ron. They are very close together here mid-pack. I have a feeling there's a few people that believe they should be in front of the car that they're currently behind, and we'll have to keep an eye on that one. Back up front, though, Felix Samoa is making a bit of a runaway here, so I think a little bit of squabbling perhaps between Marzucci and Andy Middleton here, and the likes of Kurt Nunez kind of maybe slowing up that pack a little bit as Felix Samoa is using that to his advantage and pulling away a little bit. Almost 1 second here. He's actually just edged the 1 second there for a moment. So, I mean, if you can get beyond 1 second ahead, you might just be able to kind of take off in these particular cars here. So we'll see how this one plays out. But if I was Andy Middleton, Guido Marzucci, Kurt Nunez, I would be thinking about that right now and trying to move forward. Maybe don't fight each other quite so hard as we have a huge hydroplane moment, some avoidance happening there. Not going to turn out well. Some people completely, my goodness, completely avoiding yellow flags, completely avoiding what's happening in front of them there from Antonio Reese, and just charged into that full throttle. And that's what's going to happen there. So that was a big one, Ron. We'll have to go back and have a look. Big shake up at the front.
Oh, massive shake-up, but not really much they could do as they are still wrecking as they head their way off into the final turn. That was a big hip check there. I think I saw somebody get a bit of airtime. May have potentially been Brian Visser, although Martin Visser, pardon me, I'll have to wait for confirmation of that. We are 4 wide as we head our way down the start-finish straightaway, though. We can completely dust past that as look at Brian Szynski jumping his way up into P5. That was Nick Tullo, pardon me, that got a bit of airtime. He made contact with Alan DeGassis as they headed their way off through into the turn. Nick Tullo being marked as a Spec 1 racer, currently in Master. But either way, we've got enough going on here in this race. So many chainsaws that us as broadcasters can juggle with. That's going to allow Felix Samoa to drive off into the sunset with that chaos and shenanigans and craziness breaking out right behind him.
That was wild.
Getting off the track. Yeah, Michelle Lynn side by side as they head their way over the crest. Tullo tap of the barrier for him. Gonna hold on to P4, but loses out on that final podium spot to Lynn, who's now gonna play the defensive game down the hill.
Yeah, Michelle Lynn in great position here. Needs to hold on to this as long as she possibly can here. I wouldn't maybe fight Tor too much. Let him in front of you, see if you can get behind him and then attack him near the end of the race here. But we'll see how she plays this one. I'm not sure if I'd want to let him in front of me either if I could keep him behind me, but we'll see how that goes. Let's go back and have a look at this incident with Andy Middleton. It looked to me like just a little bit of a hydroplane moment turned into a much bigger scenario there, and we'll have a jump on board with Antonio Reese here to see what he saw, if he had any chance at all there. It looked to me like perhaps he was looking for pick up a couple positions there and ended up really paying for it. So we'll see exactly how this happened here, and he's going to get light. Guido with the great avoidance right away there, and then just no avoidance from some people behind, just deciding that they are going to try and make it through the Days of Thunder mantra there, I think, Ron, and that one didn't work out. We'll have a couple looks at that here over and over while we touch on the race too, just to see exactly how all that unfolded.
Yeah, we're going to have to take a look at the replays there, because I think that was just the classic case. That's part of the reason why they have the chicane on the inside. That crest over the hill is quite notorious as being one
just
where even modern-day race cars will lose control. Yeah, no sight as you head your way over the crest. We'll see this from Antonio Reese's perspective from piled into
nothing.
Really no indication, and then he would have gone away with it, too, if it wasn't for those cars right up in front of him, and there you can see, taking a look inside of hell at the moment, riding on board with there, Antonio Reese, nose up in the air as he crested his way over the hill. Contact made, drivers flipping like crazy. It all started there with that sideways snap from Middleton. I wonder if he maybe shifted down into first, because it looked like that, I mean, that rear end snapped immediately. I mean, we are in the rain, so that can happen a little bit quicker than it would be in the dry. That still looked quite immediate. Now it almost started with, oh yeah, it looked like it started off with a tap of the curb on entry. That just snowballed out of control from there.
Yeah, he got a bit of a pendulum thing there going, didn't he, Ron? He sort of kind of took a hack at the corner, maybe a little push from the curb, kind of set him out, and then just, you know, into a bit of a correction, trying to catch up with yourself, as we've all done there, and just couldn't hold on to it. The car is in such a weird orientation going through that section, and you're about to get light. I just don't think there's anything he could have done to hold on to it. That being said, you know, just for the drivers in the back, when there's a big crash in front of you, when you see a giant crash and there's cars everywhere, slow down. The idea is to slow down. You're not supposed to step on it and try to squeeze through a gap as fast as you possibly can. And I think that's probably what we saw from a few of the drivers there. iRacing, you know, it sort of promotes that as well. You know, you want to try to make up some positions, and there's really no consequence to it, right? It's either, I mean, other than being out of the race, your butt isn't on the line. So you just kind of look for a gap there, and I think that's kind of what happened there. We had a pile of cars across the whole track, and at least 2 or 3 cars just not letting up at all.
Well, you know, for as long as I can remember, I've had memories, but Brian Szynski now dropping back in the number 84 car. Not sure what's going on for him. Another falling anvil striking down on the competition here. Szynski was putting together a great drive. Had jumped his way all the way up to 5th, but now things going to hell in a handbasket. Let's take a look at this here. Was running right beyond Chris Montgomery and Nate Colacio. Another sideways wiggle all through the turn. This time it's what nearly caught at Middleton before he had his sideways snap to the apex. Clipped that curb on the outside, and eventually the car's just going to swap ends.
Yeah, absolutely, and some awesome avoidance there from Jim Brewster. Just jump on board with him here. He's going to watch this snap and then pick a direction, and man, he picked the right one. So some good reaction times there from Jim Brewster. That's how it's done. You see something happen in front of you there, get on the clapper, slow down. Always better to lose a position or two than end up upside down in the rhubarb.
As Felix Samoa has completely checked out of this field. There's still some battles going on right in tow. This is one with Tortolo and Michelle Lynn, your reigning series champion and series admin, battling for a spot on the podium with a lap car right behind them. I believe that may potentially be Antonio Reese, who is right in tow. So he's going to look to stay clear of this battle and keep those racers to their lonesome at the very least for now. We do have some battles going on further behind, though. It involves the likes of Joshua Justice and Nick Tullo. Right as I say that, they're going side by side, heading down the start-finish stretch. Alan DeGassis is also going side by side with Jim Brewster. That's a battle at the moment for P2 in that Masters category. Nick Tullo holds on to that top spot in class. You know, as much as we always talk about Tortolo, we never talk about his dad, Nick. He shows up to these races, sometimes even more than Tor does, and he's gotten some wins in the past. Doesn't usually dominate the series in the same way that his son does, but very quick racer in his own right, and proving that right now, holding on. Actually, it's not even the Masters lead. I forgot about Andrew Love. Andrew, I'm sorry. He's running so far up in front that I didn't even see him up in second.
Yeah, up in rarefied air there for sure.
For me.
Up in rarefied air for the Masters driver for sure. Andrew Love putting together some speed last season that we saw from him as well, poking into the top 5, even the top 3, I believe, a few times, maybe even taking an overall victory there at one of the races. But up in second place right now, 4 seconds behind Felix Samoa. So pretty much class of the field behind them. Obviously a little bit of attrition here as we're seeing some argy-bargy between Nick Tullo and Joshua Justice there. Nick Tullo not really willing to let that position go quite yet. Alan DeGassis pulling ahead here, a bit of a lead, going side by side now down the front straight. See if they can't work it out into T1. You know, this outside line can work sometimes through here, but that inside line's so powerful, you usually just want to give it up. Sometimes, you know, the only way that outside line really works, just pausing my speech there for a moment as we're watching Nick Tullo give, that was a little push, I believe, from to Alan DeGassis there. He really did get up the inside, looking like he's got a bit of damage on the Olympus car there too on the nose, so dealing with a little bit of front end damage there as well, and getting a little bit argy-bargy there between Nick Tullo and his competitors here. So get those shoulders out.
Yeah, we did see Nick Tullo have a slight tussle with Alan DeGassis earlier on. It was heading their way downhill, literally called downhill around this racetrack off into turn number 7. Made a small little touch and a bit of airtime going on there. I may have jinxed him because Andrew Love is dropping down. He slipped back in tow behind Tortello and Michelle Lynn. He's fallen out of the podium, but is keeping tabs with them for the most part. It may have just been a small little mistake, potentially into turn number 1, but it's cost him out on P2, and it's given Felix Samoas now a 6-second margin at the front of this field as we rode on board with Alan DeGassis, seeing Nick Tullo close him up, reel in that gap as they head their way into 1 and 2. Big bend to start off this lap. Will it be a big move from Nick Tullo? It will not. He remains in tow. P8 for the driver of the 981 cars, Andrew Love, looking to regain and get his bearings straight, running in 4th.
Yeah, back in 4th place here. Just having a look through my ticker here, see if I can't find an off track, and there it is. It looks like we do gonna have a bit of a moment here from Andrew Love, and a little bit of curb on the inside. Looks like he's going to handle that, but it's going to put him a bit wide. Yeah, just kind of put him offline there, having to gather it up, do a little bit of grass mowing. So actually pretty awesome to hold that car together there. He really could have lost it, ended up backwards there, but was able to keep it at least pointed forward, and lost a couple positions. But that has really actually kind of lit a fire here up front. Michelle Lynn now in 3rd place again, following Tortello. So holding that 3rd place just through a little bit of attrition here. See if she can't keep it together, and could have an excellent result today from Michelle Lynn with almost about halfway through now.
Yeah, so getting close to that halfway mark here in this race. It's certainly been a wild one. Just talking about your top 8, we've seen the gaps go from massive to, well, they were small to massive to small to massive. They've been flip-flopping back and forth. We got a battle going on really all throughout this field. And here's one that we're going to take a look at a replay of. This was Jim Brewster and Joshua Justice side-by-side. Brewster, series admin here in the Formula V Weekend Warriors, and Joshua Justice, a longtime Weekend Warriors and Ray Esports alum. Again, that move put on him by Jim. They had their way off through the turn, but no! Jim, he's gone off the circuit.
We missed something.
Front end damage for him. Front left wheel completely snapped off that race car. He's got to trundle back to pit lane with a meatball flag. Jim gonna be out of it.
Oh no, yeah, looking like a bit of a wounded race car there for sure. Looks like a bit of the aftermath here. We'll go back a little bit farther up and we'll see. So he's all alone here, all by himself. Is it going to be all by himself? Perhaps we're going to have another moment here with some curbs or some paint. And no, unfortunately, Nick Tullo going to lose it on the inside there, looking like he's trying to kind of reduce himself and stay out of the way. But unfortunately had a bit of a moment, took Jim Brewster out. Not sure what was going on with Nick there exactly, but maybe we'll try to go back and have a look. We also have Dan Shazinski here as well, who jumped to the pit. Sorry to cut you off there, Ron. Have another a little bit of attrition there. So it's slippery out there, isn't it? It looks like everything's fine, everything's good, everything seems smooth, and then all of a sudden you're catching a tank slapper. So it's one of those scary days out on track there, I think, Ron.
Yeah, I think scary is probably the right word that I would sum it up as. It has been petrifying for some and just scary all around as we take a look at Felix Samoas and that Vortex Portugal Motorsports #1 car. Recently joined VPN, and ever since then he's been able to get some good performances together, put in some good drives during the Ray Esports Weekend Warriors virtual runoffs, the 48th running of that event, and now looking to keep on the form and try and return to championship form here this season. Had 2 championships back-to-back, lost out on the crown last season, taking a step away from the Weekend Warriors world, but certainly looking to start this season off on a good note with a trip into victory lane. Tortello, in the meantime, is holding on to P2, 8 spots gained since the drop of the green flag, but our hard chargers, we have 2 of them on our camera shot right now, involved in their own little battle. Brian Hansen, let me try that one again, up 8 spots, and Stephen Hicks up 11.
Wow. Yeah, lots of gainers there today, and that's going to be from some of the attrition, but it's also going to be on merit as well. There's some good driving happening out there, some passing, lots of passing actually going on during this race here, obviously, as we're seeing on our board there. Pretty cool stuff, even up front there. Michelle Lynn up 6 positions, now taking a 2nd place away from Tortello. So she's going to get Tor down the front straight. Michelle Lynn finding some speed today here around Lime Rock, clearly has the confidence, clearly has the pace. going to keep an eye on this one because, man, oh man, I'd really like to see Michelle Lin pull at least a podium out here. A second place would just be awesome in front of Tortello here. But, you know, if Andrew Love has anything to say about it, that is a lap driver that we see just behind Tortello there. I believe that's Antonio Reese. I think a little bit of attrition in the beginning there. Also a very fast, very good driver out there as well. But, you know, you can see the kind of pace he has because he's able to keep up with these lead drivers, even though he is technically in 20th place. Right now. He does have the pace to be up there in the front. Andrew Love, though, just behind him. You can see him just kind of poking around back there. He could be part of this fight if they continue to fight here. There's more than enough time left for him to join the fray here. We will see how much they squabble back and forth. I think if I was Michelle Lin, I'd probably facilitate some passes here and see if I could keep Tor with me and just be in the right position at the end to make a jump, perhaps. And number one, though, just not allow Andrew Love to catch up to them.
At the moment, these drivers are having one benefit behind them, and that is Antonio Reese, who's tail gunner, shotgun of the field, running down in 18th at the current moment. He's going to be defending them out somewhat. It'll be a slight buffer between those two cars and Andrew Love in 4th. Small little buffer, but a buffer nonetheless, as we see Brian Hansen and Joshua Justice. They start the battle here for P9, as Rafael Bolli also involved in the battle with Andy Middleton. Middleton rejoining the race with what is HP1.
Looks like he's made some sort of actual HP bottle four-wheeled machine there. Looks like one of those, what do they call it, the little racers you have at Cub Scouts when you're a kid, the gravity racers there made out of an HP.
It's like a Pinewood Derby car.
Yeah, Pinewood Derby car, that's right. Yep, I did a bunch of that when I was young. That's what it looks like, a little HP bottle Pinewood Derby car there. So clearly the HP sauce running deep in the Middleton family here. He's digging that stuff. You know, I was saying before, I don't think I haven't had HP sauce since, man, it's been so long. I have to probably pick some up now. I see it every week. Yeah, it's pretty funny. They need to send that guy some money.
Yeah, it's pretty good advertising that they've been getting. He's been running very strong in these races. Unfortunately, he's either getting a good result or finding himself at the epicenter of some sort of falling anvil storm. So, yeah, you know, you take the wins when they are allotted, I suppose. But Middleton had a falling anvil come down on him. He's dropped down, but still looking to have a good season here. Had a good campaign in season 1 of 2026, and looking to keep the momentum rolling strong as we tackle the spring and head our way into the summer by the time we are done with this season of iRacing. I'm trying to think. I don't trust Punxsutawney Phil, which I think is fair. I would rather trust a meteorological association over the musings of an imaginary rodent. So I think we are in spring at this point here, at least here in the States. It's 58 degrees right now. Make that 59 as we're 3 wide heading off through turn number 1. So you realize I'm trying to go on some sort of long menagerie about random bull stuff that doesn't even matter. We've got some battles going on out there on the racetrack, and Andrew Love just shuffled his way up into 2nd with all that.
Yeah, so I mean, feels like it was less than 2 minutes ago I was saying Andrew Love's kind of in the background there, and if these two keep squabbling, he's going to be part of this situation pretty soon. Well, he's part of it and in front of it now, so that's what happens, you know. And I'm not sure they were squabbling really too hard either. There's just maybe a little mistake or perhaps just a side-by-side moment. That's really all it takes. Andrew Love now up into 2nd place. Michelle Lin back to 4th, and Tortello in 3rd place. So anybody here could be taking a podium or perhaps that 2nd place, but we won't know right until the very end of the race here. I'm going to get right in behind Andrew Love here with Tortello. You can see that spray coming off the back of that Formula V race car. He's going to try to look up the inside here. Pretty simple move if you can make this one happen. If you can get that kind of track position up the inside and get that run, it's usually something you kind of just want to let happen because you're not going to be able to fight it very well on the outside unless the person on the inside has a moment, which, you know, a lot of the time will leave you on the outside and you get cleaned out by the person on the inside. So it's, you know, that corner can be very difficult. You know, I was saying earlier, it can be done around the outside. Not very often can it, Ron. That outside line just doesn't really work around here. If somebody gets up that inside, it's usually best to kind of let it happen, file in, and live to fight another day.
Yeah, you got to pick and choose your battles in a situation like this. Lime Rock is one where you always have to kind of do that to some degree. but throw rain in the midst, and that just amplifies it up to probably about 58. We take a look at this battle right now. Riding on board with Nick Coliseo in that Chiquita Banana car. Fun little fact about Chiquita Banana, they're actually one of the companies that were involved in the brutal Banana Republic in Central America back in the mid 20th century. So the more you know, ladies and gentlemen, the more you know indeed. But right now, Chiquita Banana has gone from, overthrowing various dictatorships to trying to get P5 at the moment here on the racetrack, side by side with himself and Chris Montgomery heading off into turn number 1. And he'll be able to get that move done with a little bit of extra speed off into the turn. I was worried that he was going to hop the berm and go for a hop, skip, and a jump all through the grass. I'll tell you what, that's the first time that the phrase Banana Republics has been brought up in an iRacing broadcast, maybe ever.
Yeah, I think so. That's not an easy one to work in, Ron, so congrats on that one. Got a picture there down of, I believe that's Miconio there at the bottom. He's going to have a spin all by himself here, so not having a great day today, Antonio Reese, unfortunately getting caught up early, and then a little bit more attrition during the race here. You're going to have a moment or two like that during a race. Probably everybody will, but when you've already been relished or relinquished back to the back of the pack there, they just hurt a little more. When you have those slides and you've already lost a lap, it just hurts a little bit more. Kind of feels silly, but all of these fast racers out there, as we're seeing again, Tortello has now taken the lead from Andrew Love, who's kind of hunting around behind him here, not really committing to that inside move quite yet. Probably smart of him not to do that quite yet. Really, I think just kind of managing keeping Michelle in behind him at the current moment there in that particular situation.
So with not a lot of time left to go here in this race, only 7 minutes left on the clock, less than that, in fact, as we come into the final 6 minutes. So these racers running out of time, running out of opportunities to get a move done on one another. They do have enough laps on their hand, though. Even in the rain, these laps are still at about 1:05. So it is really, really hotly contested out there on the racetrack currently as we take a look at a replay. This right here is a simple spin from Kurt Nunez, right in the same spot where things went so wrong for him earlier, and kind of second verse slightly reversed from the first as he spun right at the top of the hill and nearly got clobbered by Guido, different than what happened earlier on in the race with those two, where the other shoe was on the other foot.
Yeah, really easy spot to do it. I think, again, you're trying to get down to that apex as low as you can to try to, get that corner and the exit correct. And if you touch that little piece of paint down there in just the wrong way, it just whips the car sideways. And I'm pretty sure that's what we've seen happen here a couple times. You can see Andrew Love actually teasing that little piece of paint on the inside there just a little bit, losing a little bit of grip there, but not really completely losing the rear end. And I would imagine just because of the orientation the car's in, we're going to see him go through this section right here. You can see him getting down to that paint. There's a little bit of water there too, so it's tenuous for sure. A little bit more standing water, as it does look like it's raining, and maybe that's what's happening, Ron. That it's just starting to kind of pool up a little bit on the inside there, and that can grab you real quick. I know from experience, everything can seem like it's perfectly fine, and then that tiny little ticket of paint on the racetrack will huck you sideways. Andrew Love hunting now, big time.
Yeah, small little glance at that paint. If you even look at it the wrong way, your race car's just go boom, off the racetrack. You'll be done for. And in a cloud of dust and steam rather quickly. Still with the rain coming down and the battles continuing out there on the racetrack, Andrew Love holds on to P2, but Tortello trying to rattle his cage a little bit. He runs a little bit wide out of 2 into 3, holds on to the inside line and holds on to second along with it. But the pressure is ramping up in this battle as these racers have been caught up in their own mess. Felix Samoa is currently leading by 15 seconds. That is probably one of the biggest margins that we've seen in our entire time covering Formula V Weekend Warriors action here on SMB. Maybe second only to Tortello's win at New Hampshire last season, also in the rain. That was quite the beat down.
Yeah, 14 seconds, almost 15 now is quite the gap. And that's what's going to happen. You get out front. Got out front far enough, I think, that the people in the back here in second, third, fourth, fifth just decided, hey, we're racing our own race now. So there's really no point in trying to catch Felix once you're 9 seconds behind him. I'm just going to start fighting for second place, and then you kind of start getting pushed backwards a little bit, whereas Felix Samoa has free air out there, hasn't had anybody trying to pass him at all this whole race, so able to keep those averages up, and he's just kind of clicking off a little bit more time on these guys every time they take a hack at each other. So a little bit of an inflated lead there perhaps, but nonetheless totally on merit. And Michelle Lin is going to take a spin there in the background, maybe not lose a position because of it, but it's going to be darn close here. She's going to be Nate Colascio will be with her here pretty soon. We'll see. Looks like he's got a pretty good gap there still to make up, but yeah, back to the point there. Felix Samoa is now 15.5 seconds in front, so still gaining time with those consistent laps, just clicking them down. Andrew Love fighting off Tortullo here. Will he be able to figure out the blueprint to how you win with Tortullo at the end, with him behind you? I don't think it's possible, but we shall see exactly how he works this one out. Andrew Love clearly finding some pace. Some of our top drivers here actually clearly finding some pace. Tor not just running away with races anymore, for sure.
Yeah, the field has been able to catch up, so whether that's Tortullo seeming to be less like an alien or everybody else achieving alien status along with him, it's been a close battle here in this race between these two. Unfortunate to see Michelle Lin drop out of the fight. That's the falling anvil coming down on her, unfortunately. We still have two cars looking to dice out for the final podium spot. Andrew Love and Tortullo second and third. Michelle Lin now having to worry about falling into the crutches of the likes of Nate Colascio and Chris Montgomery right behind in tow. Getting into the final few moments, though, of this race. A minute and a half left to go on the clock, and the battles are intense throughout the field, but Felix Samoa's not really having to worry about much. He's got a fantastic view of some battling going on right up in front of him, I believe. Yeah, that is involving Jim Brewster, Wayne Buttermore, and Martin Visser. This is a battle for 15th at the moment, with Samoa's now leading by 17 seconds over Andrew Love. Did not catch the white flag that time by. He'll catch it this time by. But Felix Samoa is looking to cap off a brilliant drive to start this season off, having to pick his way through the smoke and the chaos of some battling going on right up in front of him, which is looking to get intense.
Yeah, for sure. There is a battle going on here, so he's going to have to be careful. Again, this race is not over yet. He's got to clear this traffic, and he's got to do it cleanly. He's got to do it without losing the car, ending up off the road or having a wheel hanging off. Looks like he's cleared most of the field here. They are racing for position, so they don't necessarily have to just move out of the way, but with this a little bit fractured and broken now, this pack, I don't think it's going to matter much. Jim Brewster will probably just slide out of the way here. Nobody's really fighting for too much. Back up at the front, though. Wow, I got Andrew Love taking some kind of liberties on track extension there a little bit to the outside. He's going to hold that one together, and it looks like he's going to get that position as well, but now going to be a complete sitting duck down this front straight. Perhaps that's a strategy to see, hey, can I get this done into that corner and then make it to the end in front of Felix? We shall see. Or sorry, in front of Tor, we shall see. White flag.
Yeah, the white flag in the air for Felix Samoa as he's looking to just drive away with this win as he already has done. But the battle for P2 still hot, still intense. Andrew Love, Tortullo battling for that spot. Side-by-side fighting here. Chris Montgomery, Michelle Lin, and Nate Colascio involved in this little scrap. This three cars strong, battling for fourth as we get to the end. Andrew Love able to withstand the challenge from Tor as they head their way off through turn number 3 and 4 for the final time here in this race. Well farther up the road, in fact. Felix Samoa's, though, with a comfortable margin, a comfortable gap, and what has been maybe the most comfortable a rain race could ever be. After grabbing the race lead early with a fantastic jump off the line, Samoa's was able to drive away and not really feel too much pressure. Felix Samoa's, your champion from 2 seasons ago, going to score the opening win of this season here in the Formula V Weekend Warriors. A fight going on right behind, though, for second. Tortullo going to jump into that spot as Andrew Love slowing down right as we get towards the end. Tor going to finish right behind his old adversary of Samoa's in second, albeit the gap was massive when it was all done here. Andrew Love inherits third. Michelle Lin gonna worry about the pressure from behind, but she'll come across the stripe to finish in fourth. Chris Montgomery and Nate Colascio directly in tow. One more battle and some importance if you're following the Spec 2 class. Jason Grider and Brian Hansen. But golly, Marzuki and Grider, 11 thousandths at the end of it.
Wow, that's about as close as they get right there. So battles throughout the whole field there. Absolute clinic from Felix Samoa today for sure. in the rain. Michelle Lynn also getting a fantastic result here in 4th place, holding on to it with some attrition and everything too. So real good to hold that one together and fight through it for a 4th place there. Excellent one there. Chris Montgomery in 5th, Coliseo 6th, and our 2nd place Masters driver Valin DeGassis in 7th. 1st place S2 driver Jason Greider in 9th place with Brian Hansen just behind him. So a pretty close battle in S2 there as well. Not a bad opening round, I'd say, at Lime Rock. It's always good to get, it feels like Lime Rock's one you just kind of want to tear off, maybe right at the beginning of the season too. It feels like this would be the first place. I think maybe the first place I ever dropped wheels on iRacing was at Lime Rock in a Mazda. Probably a lot of people, under the same umbrella as that, and can remember lots of laps turned around here. So, good place to start off the season. Off to a bunch of different tracks, of course, this season here. Lots of different things to take on, but Felix Samoa is just a absolute clinic here. Is he going to burn the car down? Michelle Lynn getting at least 4 stories high there. Not bad. Ooh, the gnome.
Oh!
We got gnomed.
No. Oh, gnome. Oh, that was terrible. Oh, golly. Everybody piling it up as they head their way into the runoff area of turn 1. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop here. I'm waiting for somebody to come barreling in. Raphael Boley gonna just quietly come into... That's the contrast there. Everybody quietly coming down pit lane, and then everybody else just stacked up, wrecked in the runoff area. That may have been the slowest flip of all time there. Let's see this. I am petrified. Ba-da-ba-ba-da! Oh!
Oof. That was a big one, and we got gnomed again.
The gnome again!
What the iRacing cameras do when it can't figure something out, you get gnomed. Maybe we'll have to... Maybe we will have to use that. That might have to be our new saying for when the cameras get lost. You're getting gnomed. And the American flag above them, too. So big salute to that guy. Maybe we should get to some results here, you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And I like that idea as well of us saying, oh, gnome, whenever something goes awry. Because I usually say, oh, followed by a word that we can't usually say here on the air. But let's take a look at our race results, shall we? It was an exciting one for many, but maybe a boring day for Felix Samoas, who wins this race by 18.9 seconds over Tortolo in 2nd place. Andrew Love, will round out your podium in 3rd. And then from there, it's Michelle Lynn in 4th, Chris Montgomery in 5th. Nate Coliseo is classed in 6th. Alan DeGassis is in 7th. Guido Marzuki will be in 8th in front, just barely out in front of your Spec 2 winner, Jason Greider, with Brian Hansen rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, and then we have Joshua Justice in the 99 car in 12th place, Andy Middleton, 13th, Nick Tullo, 14th, Raphael Boley, Jim Brewster, a little bit of attrition for him today there in 15th. Got to thank Tam again for the sponsor today. Hi, Tam. Happy birthday again, and thanks, Jim, for all the work you put in here. Wayne Buttermore also fighting really hard there in 16th place. Good race for him. In 17th, Martin Visser, 18th. We have Miconio or Antonio Reese falling to some anvils at the beginning there, I believe, trying to get through that accident. Just unfortunately didn't work out for him today. In 19th place, we have Kurt Nunez. In 20th, Stefan Westcott. In 21st, Stephen Hicks. 22nd, Brian Trzynski. Dan Trzynski just behind him in 23rd. Jorg Mani will take 24th place in Masters, and Stevie Ray not starting today's race in 25th.
And so that rounds at your results here for the first race of the Formula V Weekend Warriors, just one of the 3 Weekend Warriors series that we have. And if you're interested in sponsoring either the Formula Ford or the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors to make these broadcasts possible here on SMB, join the Slow Motion Broadcasting Discord server and get in contact with either Mr. Joshua Wilkie in the production truck alongside me in the broadcast booth, Stevie Rice, series admin, or myself, and we'll be able to get you in touch with the right people involved to put your name on some amazing racing action here on SMB. But Josh, let's get the interviews up and rolling, and I think I'll get them started by having a chat with our Spec 1 winner and dominant winner here today. Felix Samoa is joining us here in the broadcast booth. Felix, welcome in. Congratulations on the win, man. That looked like potentially a boring one as we got towards the end with an 18-second margin of running around here in the rain. Has got to be tenuous.
Thank you for the congratulations. It was anything but boring because I I don't know if you saw it on the broadcast. If you got, I had a couple of brown moments. One, I almost lost the car exiting turn 1. So, and it was so tricky, so slippery. You had to be very, very precise with the lines, because if you would go offline, like going uphill, if you would go a couple of meters more to the left, you would go into the rubbery and slippery line. You had to lift a lot, or otherwise you would hit the wall. So it was 30 minutes of high focus. When, for example, when I saw a comment, I think it has to do with the lapped cars that I lapped. I could have backed out, but then it would kind of break my rhythm. So I had to keep going and not break, because, I mean, I didn't expect to be this fast. But I had to keep focus 100% all the time and not lose the rhythm. And I mean, I got lucky in the beginning. It was very unfortunate for Andy and Guido, because I'm pretty sure Guido would have given me a good challenge. He was as fast as I am, so in the end it turned out good. I think the mistakenly given number 1, because that's not my number, should be Thor's. Giving me a bit of luck here also. And I have to say, right off the bat, I use shout out for Michelle. She gave me a setup tip that really helped. Then I watched it from Days of Thunder, a set of very precisely matched tires or whatever it is. And it worked out well.
Awesome.
It worked out fantastically for you here, Felix. A good way to start off this campaign, but I want to ask you about your thoughts heading off into the season as a whole. Got a brand new team, a brand new look on the race car as well. What are your thoughts heading off into season 2?
Yeah, let's see how it goes. I'm as I said before, I'm not yet committed to do the full season. I will do races that look fun. This was one of them with the rain. It's a bit out of what the league normally is. So we already have some races set up with kind of not random weather, but different than usual. So that might be a bit more interesting. But let's see how it goes. I don't have very high expectations for the championship, because, as I said, I might not do all the races for that.
Well, I hope that when we do see you out there on the racetrack, it's some good results like you got here today. But Felix, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs as usual before we let you go and celebrate.
Yeah, so once again, thanks a lot, Michelle, for the setup tip. It really helped. And then a big thank you to Vortex Portugal Motorsports for the support and the team sponsors, especially Track Titan for the setups, and Grid Art for the team liveries for the cars. And then, as usual, everybody involved, the admins of the league, which makes this a very fun community to hang out with, and you guys in the commentary booth, making this fun to rewatch the races.
Well, Felix, as always, it's our treat to cover this action. It was exciting here, even though you may have had a runaway win. But, man, thank you for joining us in the booth. And we will hope to see you back in the Weekend Warriors world at some point very soon.
Yeah, I will be back. Yeah, definitely. But, again, let's see how many races. Thanks a lot, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much. That right there was Felix Simoes, our race winner here today. Josh, I'll pass the mic off to you and ask who you want to have a chat with.
Yeah, let's bring our P4 driver in here of Michelle Lynn. I'll have a chat with her and see how today went. Michelle, that was a pretty great race out there, holding position almost the whole race. You were in podium position there, just kind of getting shuffled back near the end, but excellent race, I'd say. Altogether, kind of avoiding all that attrition out there, fighting for some position, and ending up with a solid P4. How'd you see it out there?
Okay, first of all, I've got to catch my breath. My heart is pounding because the realization that this is what caused me to spin in the left-hander, but I'll get to that. The fact that I was running with Tor, my brain was does not compute. Something is wrong, But Lime Rock is a track that I've run in real life more than any other track. I've run there in the rain. And I know a couple little tricks. We discovered a few more tricks last night in the draft party, and it's the uphill. The uphill, I was making all my time on the uphill corner. and then I would lose it everywhere else, and then gain it back on the uphill. And so I was really relying upon that corner to get me this position. And you know, when I was running with Tor early on, you know, luckily we got through that incident. But I wasn't really racing. I just wanted to run with him. Like, if he slowed up, I went ahead, and then I would let him by. There was no point to battle with him. And then Andrew caught up towards the end. Also, this is all a wash. I don't remember everything that happened perfectly. But when Andrew caught up, he got around, and it was fine. And I was just running with them, and I just had like a split-second brain fart in the left-hander, and I spun, and oh my god, I wanted to cry, because then I knew we only had like 3 laps at that point to go. But I saw Nate and Chris, and they were coming at me. And they had got to within 0.6, well within draft. But again, at that uphill corner on the second to last lap, I was able to pull like 0.3, I think, away, which was just enough to run down the inside line on the front straight. And then again, at that uphill corner, I gained a little bit more speed, so that on that final straight to the finish, they weren't in range to, you know, pass me with the draft. But oh my god, that race felt so long. The car was like just constantly at a state of out of control to in control. But well, you're gonna hear about setups when you talk to other people, I'm sure. But I was running my normal Lime Rock setup there, which is my most oversteery setup I have, and I have like 25 different setups in the V's. And when I saw that this was going to be a rain race, I tried my wet setups, but I actually ran my dry Lime Rock setup because it's just so oversteery. So I was doing a lot of driving today with my right foot rather than my wheel. And also, oh my god, I'm going to shut up. Sorry, I've been talking a long time.
No, that's fine. No, that was good. It's a good insight there. We actually did hear from Felix Samoas too that you shipped him a setup, and he was actually saying thank you for the setup. It's interesting to hear that you're using the dry setup there, that one didn't work. Also, we just saw while you were talking there, the line you were taking through the uphill corner, it looks like you were taking a lot more curb than some of the other drivers were. We had maybe 3 spins this race from people kind of middling that curb. So you were really taking it, keeping the momentum straight, keeping the car's momentum going over the curb, whereas some people were kind of middling it a little bit and just touching the paint on the inside, and it actually killed a couple of the drivers out there today. So definitely fast line that you got there for sure. Definitely committal line. Yes, I was just going to say for sure. Good line.
Thank you.
Yeah, pretty cool stuff for sure. It's cool to hear that you guys are sharing setups and everything back and forth as well.
Okay, so my team uses my setup. Grider is using my setup. I was generous. I gave the Skazinskis my setup this weekend, and Felix, I just told him what to change on his setup. I didn't let him use my setup. There's a trick, and I don't want to say what it is right now, or everyone will know the trick. So, but no, I gave that to like Antonio and Felix, a bunch of people that were in chat with us. You know, just try to help a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And I believe, where are we headed next time here? We're headed out to Barber Motorsports Park next time, and I believe we've been there a couple times. Not an easy track, that one. Not my favorite track in the world, but very unique, offers a unique challenge, so something that I've always looked forward to. Is that one you look forward to, or not so much?
The first time I had ever run it was last season, and I did like it a lot, but I definitely need to spend more time and really get quick there. You know, this season I'm shooting. I want to try to get top 5 finishes and start it off with a 4th. So I'm happy. I know I can't win when there's people like Felix and Tor out there. You know, that's fine. And Guido, of course, my buddy. But if I can get a top 5, like for me, that's winning.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I think you have the right mindset. You know, you're saying during the race too, and you backed up my thoughts there as well. You know, you're around someone like Tor, just kind of relax a bit, see if you can learn from him, see if you can get behind him. You know, I get behind somebody like him, and I'm like, what am I doing back here? You just got to try to figure it out and try to stay there. And that's how you learn. I think you learn from those people in front of you. You run at their pace for a few laps. It gets you an idea of what it's like, and then you can kind of touch that rarefied air. And it looks like you're getting there, Michelle. So good luck on the top 5s this season. Keep it up, keep digging, keep looking for that time, and we'll see you next race.
All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
No problem. Yep, have a good one.
And that right there was Michelle Lynn, series admin and P4 finisher. Let's go from there and have a chat with a man who had a very thrilling finish. Want to ask him any questions before the jitters start to wear away. Jason Grider now joining us here in the broadcast booth. Jason, welcome in. Before I ask you about the race as a whole, I want to ask you about that photo finish with Guido. How are the nerves after that?
I was kind of ticked because like I had been running by myself. Had P8 pretty wrapped up, and then he got past Brian Hansen, and I was like, crap. And then he got on the chat or the Discord. It was like, dun just like, I knew I couldn't hold him off, and I wasn't going to try to just mess both of us up. And then coming out of the downhill at West Bend, just for some reason, he didn't get a good run, and I did. And I was hopping up and down to the seat like I was in a cart, trying to get, just trying to jump some more go in it to get past him at the line, but I didn't quite make it. This is always fun running with Guido. I don't get the chance too often because I'm not as fast as he is, but always fun when it does get to happen.
Hey, the power of a falling anvil on top of Guido's head. If it works, it works. A thrilling finish and a pretty darn good race as well. Looked like a stressful day behind the wheel for you drivers out there on the racetrack, coupling with the rain at a track that's usually one to provide some pretty stressful racing as is.
It is. It was really fun, to be honest. And I mean, it had its sketchy moments, obviously, like Nick and Jim getting together just in front of me. I wasn't sure I was going to get around that, and there was another one I have to go back and look later too. That was maybe Brian Stasinski when he got loose in the bottom in the uphill. It was like, oh crap, he's all the way across the track. I don't know that I'm gonna pick this line very carefully. And the first couple of laps were pretty stressful too. Just running in a pack like that, and we all kind of got split up a little bit. I was by myself for a long period. Especially the second half of the race, and it was good. That's a great finish. I was really kind of happy with that with Guido. So. It was stressful, but I think the rain adds such a dynamic. We needed it here at Lime Rock. I think everybody was thinking, I don't want to go back to Lime Rock again in the dry. It's just everybody knows how that race plays out. And I think the rain adds a new element and helps make it interesting again for everybody.
Yeah, it's been a race that we've seen run so many times that I know from our perspective as broadcasters, I can imagine it's exemplified even more for you drivers out there. You just kind of know what's going to go on before it even happens. So I was happy to kind of see rain get thrown in the midst. Certainly, I'd rather have rain on this configuration than just dry racing on some of the chicane layouts. But Jason, next time out, we're going to be running at Barber Motorsports Park, the newly refreshed Barber 2. What are your thoughts heading there?
It's my home track. It's only it's about an hour and 20 minutes away from here, from where I am, and love that place. When I first started driving it, until I got the rhythm of it, it was just hard. But then now, to me, it's wonderful. I went on the layout, I think in the F3 the other day, the new layout. And it's got some things that I'm happy to see, where like the S's on the back straight just past the museum, like the runoff there has been fixed, so it's paved and everything now. So that'll be a little extra ground to use for everybody, and just looking forward to it. And maybe we'll call it the George Barber Memorial, since Mr. Barber, the man who created that, just passed away here a couple of weeks ago. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love going to that track. It puts on a good race. And it puts on a good race in anything. Like I don't think I've seen anything that doesn't work really well there. Maybe I haven't run stock cars there, but maybe they don't do well. But good track.
Yeah, it's a very good track, and looking forward to seeing what sort of action is in store, and hoping that doesn't fry Josh's graphics card too much either on the newly refreshed version of it. But Jason, thank you for joining us in the booth, and as always, we'll let you give any thank yous or shout outs before we let you go.
Sure. Always got to shout out my fam for just keeping me honest and like not letting me sit here in the sim all the time. Get up and go do stuff for them. A shout out to Tam too, and happy birthday to her as well. And thank you for sponsoring today. We always greatly appreciate it. And Stevie and Jim and Michelle, always just for running the league, and all of our competitors. We're all really good, and all really happy with each other, even when we're not. Just kind of works out. Everybody chip somebody on the shoulder and we talk about it and everybody's cool. You know? And shout out to you guys for a great broadcast every time. Always love it. Always love going back and watching it. Even the races I don't run in, I go back and try to watch during the week.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's our treat as always, again, to scream into a microphone on some great racing. Jason, thank you for joining us in the booth. Well done on the class win, and we will see you next time out at Barber.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You as well. That right there was Jason Grider, Spec 2 class winner here. And Josh, I'll pass the mic off to you to have a quick little chat with our Masters winner, who's been waiting in the interview waiting area for quite some time, Andrew Love, who had a pretty darn good race in his own right here today.
Andrew, great race out there today. You've been finding some pace, man, the last couple seasons here. Definitely seem to have moved through the field a little bit. You know, we were talking maybe top 5, maybe top 10 a few seasons ago. You know, then we were easily in the top 5s. Now we're talking about podiums almost every race. What's your secret? You just been practicing, feeling better with the car? What's the deal?
I've been actually trying to think about that. I have noticed an improvement, like a marked improvement. And the only thing I've done that's different is I now have one of those autocross torso harnesses. I have it strapped around my chair and then around my my waist to keep me from sliding around in my chair.
Huh.
I actually use a wooden dinner chair, so it's the bottom of the chair is really slippery, and I guess I've been holding myself into place. But with that torso harness that I have on, it holds me back, and I think I don't have to hold myself up so much. So that's the only thing that I've done that's different. That's the only, and I know Jim Brewster has the same thing, and he says it helps him. So I went and dug my old autocross harness from 40 years ago out of my closet, and I put it together, and it's working pretty well.
Very interesting. Yeah, you know, I can say, one of the things about actually spending money on sim equipment isn't so much about that it's going to make you a bunch faster right off the bat. It's that it makes you more comfortable and intuitive right off the bat. And you can sit down and just be comfortable. And I know when I finally got the money to put together to buy an actual rig and a seat, it changes everything. And then, you just, as you add things, you add triples, you wouldn't think, hey, it's not such a big deal. Well, it's just you're able to be a little bit more intuitive when you can see a bit more and a bit more natural. And it's actually kind of funny you mentioned a seatbelt. I actually put a seatbelt in my rig recently as well, even though it's very comfortable, and it's helping me too. It just kind of helps me stay positioned, and I'm not squirming and worming around as much as I used to. It helps my back and stuff. So some tips out there, some things that you wouldn't think necessarily. Those little creature comforts really do. They take that stress down, open your bandwidth up a bit. You can think about things that matter out there.
They do. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
I'm very honored to have been running up there with Tor and Michelle. Actually able to pass Tor in anger during a race instead of having him blow by me and walk away. So that was quite exciting. And then he just snookered me completely on the last lap going into the downhill. He took the inside there, and you have to be on the inside there to catch the curve just right to have a good run coming out of the last corner. And he was in that spot. So I tried to do the over-under, but I just didn't have the momentum coming out of there. So congrats to Tor.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Tor, for such a great race.
Yeah, excellent up there in rarefied air with Tor racing around. For sure, definitely found the pace, and it's interesting to hear sort of your mindset there as to how you're taking that on as well. And it seems, once you're around Tor, you're basically kind of trying to just keep everything copacetic, see if you can learn some, stay close to them, and hope you're there at the end. And it looks like, you know, you, Guido, Felix, getting closer and closer every race and every season to having an answer for his questions there. So pretty awesome, Andrew, to see you picking up pace and getting more comfortable in the rig and stuff. It's good, good to hear, man, for sure. Keep working on that. You know, it's the rig. Keep looking at things. Keep trying to make it more comfortable. Keep trying to find little things that help you like that. And I promise you, it will make you faster out there. We're headed to, I believe, Barber. At our next round here. Is that the newly refreshed Barber, as Ron was saying there? So should be a pretty cool race. Is that one you're looking forward to?
I'm actually out at Summit Point. I'll be working Summit Point next weekend, and then I have got grandkids in town the weekend after that, and then I have a free weekend, and then I'm at Summit Point again the weekend after that. So I'm missing 3 of the next 4 weeks for Summit Point events and grandkids, which I'm very happy about. But so I'll be missing Barber. I loved running Barber there when we were there last season, or maybe the season before last. I had a really great time. It was a fun track. So I'm bummed that I'm missing it, but I'll be out at Summit Point watching race cars. So that's, you know,
next best thing.
Yeah, that's good. It's good.
Or maybe even a better thing to do at IRL there. So good luck with all that. Yeah, hopefully you have a good time there, and we will see you back in the seat when we see you. Have a good one, Andrew. Nice to talk to you.
All right, thanks. Thanks for doing everything that you do. Oh, and one other thing.
Yeah, throw some thanks out if you like.
I want to thank whoever created the music, the intro music, because I've really been loving the intro music that.
Yeah, I picked that, hand-picked it myself there. That one took me a while, so I'm glad you dig it. I tried to pick some funky stuff people would like, so that's good.
Yeah, I love the stuff that comes out of the countdown. You know, when it has the rev counter, the tachometer thing, and that one right there. That I've actually plugged my phone into my home stereo and jammed it out through the home stereo before.
Awesome, right on. I'm glad to hear it, man. Yeah, if you want the track number, I'll or the name and stuff, I'll give it to you there in the chat.
Okay, sounds great.
Right on.
All right, thanks, guys.
Take care, Andrew. Yep.
You too.
Yeah, that right there was Andrew Love, a fan of the music here on Slow Motion Broadcasting.
Awesome.
But Josh,
like
the sound of Formula V's came with the sound of rain pitter-pattering down here at Lime Rock to get this season up and rolling. Final thoughts before you wrap things up?
Yeah, I think that was a great way to get the season started here. We're seeing our kind of major players already in the season. It's not going to be as clear-cut, as cut and dry, maybe as previous seasons here with the likes of Andrew Love, Felix Samoes. I mean, we got a lot of drivers out there now, Ron, that have been racing each other for, I mean, we're talking a lot of seasons in a row here, helping each other out, passing setups back and forth, learning from each other. And I think this is going to be one of our best seasons yet, as far as multiple winners, as far as different podium sitters. I'm really looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, there's going to be an awesome season of Formula V Weekend Warriors action. And as we said a little bit earlier on in the show, if you want to potentially put your name on some amazing Weekend Warriors action, you can by joining the Slow Motion Broadcasting Discord server, getting in contact with Stevie Ray to sponsor either the Formula Ford or Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors that can be broadcasted here on SMBs on Sunday. Some great racing action to look forward to, though, throughout the week. We, of course, have the Formula V Weekend Warriors every single Saturday. The American Muscle Series, part of a doubleheader on Tuesday evenings with AMS in the second half of their campaign, running at Summit Point, right as we were talking with Andrew Love, mentioning Summit Point there. And the FIA Formula 4 cars running in the Sim Racers Group F4 Championship at The Bend this upcoming weekend as well. Sim Racers Group F3 will also be at Suzuka Circuit for their second to last round of their season, their second round of their season. Man, time flies when we're having fun. It hasn't flown that quickly. And of course, next time out here on the Formula V Weekend Warriors, you'll be able to catch the action at Barber Motorsports Park to round off the season here. Well, round off the month of March here on SMB. We'll have American Muscle Series at Willow Springs Raceway. So a lot of actions to look forward to here on Slow Motion Broadcasting. Gives you a very good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of it. Our thanks as always to the Weekend Warriors members and Tam in the YouTube chat, the queen of the YouTube chat, for making this broadcast possible. But for this broadcast here, for the season opening round of the Formula V Weekend Warriors here at Lime Rock Park, that will do it. So for myself, Ron Maunz, and Josh Wilkie working the comms and the cams with me on today's show, I say thank you also very much for tuning into the action here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.